most respected audience, dear students, and my dear friends. A very good day to you all. Today, I wish to register my opinion about some of the incidents that have taken place in the recent past in our state. 2 days before, I came across a newspaper wherein three different incidents have been reported on the same day. And one report is about a boy committing suicide within a school premise in Tirunelveli district. Another incident is about a student, not a single student, but two students together. They have attacked a teacher with a bottle. And in another incident, three plus two students have been arrested under POCSO Act for ragging a student of plus one class, and that particular student has reported that as sexual harassment and a kind of a homosexual attempt by his seniors. So students within the age of 18, they are coming across a lot of problem in the recent past. So this has to be seriously viewed. This evoked a kind of rumination within me, and I just pondered about how we came across similar situations in the past. The fact is that we had a very strong union when we were students of the school, and that kind of unionism is absent after a subsequent period of time. So, what happened and why this unionism and the spirit of unionism died, that I do not know, and I do not want to explore into that. But based on my experience, I would like to theoretically give some arguments and also identify my personal experience on that. For one thing, teachers and students, they form separate class. Not only students union are now weak, but also the union of the teachers are also weak. In yet another lecture about teachers union, I have pointed to the need of a corresponding relationship between the teachers and students, and now that has also almost disappeared. Teachers union does not openly support teachers facing certain allegations. Particularly in private matriculation schools, teachers live a very pathetic life. Not only their salary but also their working condition is very harsh and inhuman at any parameter. Under severe working condition, they have to produce results, and if the students are not cooperative, they have to make them cooperate and at times adopt severe measures, and it caused a lot of problem in the past. Recently in a school there was a fight between two students on a matter of who is the owner of a pencil, and finally the student who believed that justice is in his side and he has been not properly heard. He came with a knife and he attacked his fellow classmate. And when the teacher attempted to stop that, he was brutally attacking the female teacher as well. Many people were critical about this situation, and they were making points pertaining to how this kind of a schooling system is going to help our students and face the future. And many were again critical about the kind of teaching and teachers only. So teachers are largely soft targets, not only school teachers but teachers of the college and university. They are soft targets, and anybody can throw any kind of accusation on them and they can just go without being affected. But it is the teacher who has to protect himself, and the mechanism of law is not always favorable to them. To its contrast, if students are forming an union and if they are fighting for their cause, every agency is taking sides with them, particularly the district administration, the police, the judicial system, the press, so on and so forth. They support the students as because they view students as a weaker section and teachers as a dominant class. In this context, every school has to create a kind of union and they should try to educate them on student parliament and affairs like that. The NCRT has produced books on student parliament and they have to produce an environment wherein some students who strive to establish their identity apart from academics to project their talents, their ideas, their wisdom, they have to be given adequate platform and they should be accommodated. Not only students who are studying well or academically performing well should be given recognition, but also students of these kinds have to be adequately recognized. When we were in schools, there were no youth parliament or mechanism like that to contain us, but we had our own unions and our functioning was determined by ourselves. When I entered 6th standard in St. John's Higher Secondary School, Palayamkottai, they started the academic year with the election of the school pupil leader and the assistant school pupil leader. The school people leader at that time was selected unopposed, and the assistant school people leader, I believe his name was one Stephen belonging to 12th standard, and his post was contested by another student belonging to 10th standard. So, school people leader will be always from 12th standard, and assistant school people leader vacancy is open only for 12th standard as well as 10th standard students. They take up the cause of the students, and whenever there are some problems, they will be suitably handled, and students will determine the further course of action. As I have already said in another lecture, as a signal of their unity, they start their union activities by garlanding Lourdes Northern statue located in South Bazaar, and from there on, a kind of active unionism will begin. So, when I was a student of St. John's College, there were issues like lack of water, certain political events, homosexual exploitation, changing of question pattern at the 10th standard, and issues similar to that emerged, and these were severely questioned by the students' union, and they fought against this. If water supply is stopped and after noon, if we are not able to get adequate water, immediately one student will howl and the entire school will echo the sound, and constantly they will try to address the problem. So the students union of the school had connection with the union of the college, and whatever problem occurs in the school will be supported by the college union, and if things go beyond their hand, the college union will come and try to solve that. The mass backing for the college union will be supplied by the school union, and therefore together they march towards a progressive unionism. As such, one Mr. Jayakumar became chairman of St. John's College, and he belonged to the DMK party. And when he was the chairman of the college union, the DMK government was toppled by the central government, and therefore there emerged a huge strike which was spearheaded in the district by Mr. Jayakumar, and they were together trying to stop buses in the road opposite to the St. John's hostel, and there were only a few students standing in front of the hostel road, and therefore they tried to get the support of the school students. And the school students were uniform, and lungis were supplied to them, and they changed their clothes and they tried to stop the buses and register their protest. This is an extreme kind of participation of the students union, yet it had the potential to give adequate experience to the students who participated in it. As the Duke of Edinburgh, he said, the grounds of Eton, it gave me the strength to defeat the great Napoleon. Similarly, these kind of trainings, they gave the students of that period a strength to face the future world. Similarly, when the issue of question paper, the question paper model was changed to the advantage of the students in the 10th standard. But we wanted to have a status quo, and there was a fear of students being failed in large numbers if the question paper pattern is changed. And therefore, the students in large numbers, they collected together and they printed posters. I still remember that one of our friends by name Shankar Ramakrishnan, he had a printing press, and he took all of us to the printing press, and his father recommended us to reach one Mr. Money working as printer in South Bazaar, and he said that he is a communist and he only will take such offers and boldly will print. And therefore we reached the money press and we printed posters, and one student wrote wonderful poetry against the question paper change, and that was printed, and students collected money to meet out the expenses, and they together made a strike and tried to change the mood of the government. One thing that has to be registered at this time is two of the very popular and academically brilliant students, they participated in this kind of a strike. Even if the question paper is changed to the disadvantage of the students, they are sure to get their 100 marks, but still they participated in the strike and they also contributed immensely for the success of the strike. One student became an MBBS, and he was the first student to reach England without a gap after his MBBS for higher studies. And another person, he reached up to Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, after completing his undergraduate engineering degree at Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Filani. Both of them are successful family men also these days. After my 10th standard, I went to a matriculation school for 11th standard, where students union leaders were nominated by the management themselves, and very soft spoken people will be selected for such posts, and these people will lead the sports activities, and they will salute the guest of honor during the sports event. Apart from that, their role was only minimal. Since I had a brilliant background of union, when I reached college, I started my degree at St. Xavier's College, and at that time, Lakshmana Rajan was the candidate, aspiring candidate, and he visited me and he requested for my support, and he became the chairman, and he sits with the principal during the college day. Apart from that, their role was also minimal. For one thing, as I have already registered in one of my writings, St. Xavier's College had no problem or issue at that time. So, one problem that affected the student is pertaining to one Mr. Asai Thambi being suspended by the college management, and this fellow went up to the collectorate and he took a hunger strike also, but the college administration did not yield. And when students were attacked by the police for hanging in the footboard of bus, the college administration they wrote dissent letters to the police department. And the union at that time, as registered by the chairman, it had full respect and a belief in the college, and therefore there were no strikes or no demonstrations on the side of the students in the entire 3 years period. So I approached a college staff, non-teaching staff, and asked whether I can take up the union activity as chairman or shall I take under officer post in NCC. He recommended me to take the second post as the college administration will always look at the chairman post with suspicion and do not respect the chairman when he comes to the principal office seeking any support or help. To its contrast, the NCC under officer will be widely respected and loved by the management. But when there were no issues in the college, I thought that taking up NCC is better than opting for chairmanship of the college union. The administration of the college always was willing to hear our issues and settle that, and it did not require a proper union to expose the cause of the students, because the first people to understand the problem of the students were the college administration at that time at St. Xavier's College. However, this has become the norm of the day, and every college, every school, they are thinking that they are taking up the issue of the students by themselves and they are doing good to the students, and therefore they ignore the creation of an union. When I went to my MA course at Loyola College, in the first year, I became the union member and I represented to the management that the canteen involves some child labor, and immediately Father Inyasimutu, the principal, he was sensitized on the issue and he immediately called the canteen people and he requested them to remove that particular person, that child worker, and they made him to go school. The chairman of the college, he will be sent to Singapore or Malaysia for one kind of student motivation course. Loyola College chairman election at that time was sponsored fully by Tirupur based industrialist, and one such person belonging to Tirupur Industrial Hub, he became the chairman and he headed the union. And again, the union had enormous belief in the capacity of the college administration and there were no strikes. In subsequent period, there was a government order which made almost every men's college into the co-ed college. Co-educational studies became popular. All the men's college became co-educational institution and women's college remained women's college forever. It does not mean to demean the capacity of women. For one thing, when I was a school student, these students of Sarataka College, they took up a problem and they fought for it. At that time, one of the teachers died and the students visited her home to pay last homage to her. But they found the cattle in the home is also dead and they were embalmed within grass, and this caused a suspicion and the students wanted to clear their doubts and they wanted the administration to perform post-mortem. And when the post-mortem was carried out, it was found that the teacher was poisoned by her father-in-law and it was not a natural death. The students won justice for their teacher, and they had immense potential to influence the administration not only of the college but also of the district and the state. But the administration of the colleges like St. John's College, they found that adequate vacancies allotted to women will reduce the union activities and it will contain the virulence of the union, and therefore unions they slowly lost their importance. Also, now and then they represent their issues and come to the road. As far as St. John's College is concerned, at one point of time when Mr. Jayakumar was the college chairman, it was, I mean to say, the union election itself was a fight between two different castes, and caste leaders they entered into the arena and they represented their candidates. However, Jayakumar won, and similarly, after 2 years, his successor, Mr. Kannan, won. All of them they belong to one caste and they try to represent everybody, as typically what we see in our regular politics. But such places have become dormant these days, and students' union are not that active. As far as college students are concerned, UGC through Lindo Commission has necessitated the election of a students' union. But at the last moment, the college administration they conduct election and nominate a person and conduct a college day or university day, and with that they conclude the functioning of the students' union. However, still students' union are viewed with suspicion and adequate encouragement is not given by any of the administration. Students' participation in politics is inevitable. To have a harmonious democracy in our state, students have to necessarily participate in politics and they have to understand the nuances of politics, nuances of leadership, and the ability to face future situations. They have to be politicized, but it is the duty of the higher educational institutional venues to take up this issue and politicize the students. But to its contrast, they are not attempting to do this. Rather, they try to stifle this development. The scenario being this in Tamil Nadu, I went for my further studies to Delhi, where I have my own experience with All India Students Association, Students Federation of India, NSUI, ABVP, and other parties. Parties in the sense students wing of political parties. Predominant number of my friends were part of All India Students Association and they carried the slogan Che Charu Chandu. Che is Che Guevara, Charu is Charu Majumdar, and Chandu is Chandrasekhar, who was the union leader of Jawaharlal Nehru University campus. The teachers and the working class they largely supported the students' union. Jawaharlal Nehru University was viewed as a fort of the left wing, and there were huge number of people, that is the students, who wanted to become part of the Naxal movement. We cannot say this particular political wing of the students are active or some other student wing is inactive. All of them they try to strengthen their unions. Government employed its own police mechanism to check the development of unionism within the campus. However, they constantly spoke, debated, and they intellectually attempted to contribute for the development of Indian democracy rather straight away coming into action of any sort. And therefore, Slowly, the students' union it became a subject of mockery at the highest level also, highest level in the sense in the capital also. Therefore, the gap that was left by the left unions was capitalized by the ABVP, the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. They had the support of the RSS, which is said to be one of the wonderfully organized and corrupt organization in the nation. It is said that they take up issues only after severe inquiry and will not land in any problem before exploring the possibilities of firing their own hands. So, left wing became weak and they took up issues which are not into their agenda and they wanted to have just popular support for their background because in our nation we do not have much scope for ideology even now. Students are after employment opportunities and a decent lifestyle. When I became a teacher in Manonmaniam Sundarnar University, I came as a sympathizer of the left. However, when Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Cynthia Pontian introduced the idea of enhancing knowledge skill or language skill through making all students write in English language, some of the students they protested and SFI took this issue and they fought. Predominant number of books pertaining to social sciences were written by the leftists in English and the students of the university they have no idea of reading such books and the New Century Book House, which is also a sympathizer of the left, they have translated a considerable number of books into the vernacular language. However, this is not sufficient. So, to introduce the students into a brilliant world of writing, English language is inevitable. But without vision, the SFI took this issue and they attempted to broad base their number based on taking up any issue pertaining to the students without cross examining what kind of issue is that. Similar allegations are there against Democratic Youth Federation of India and also All India Democratic Women's Association. They are not able to make their inroads into the society just because of their departure from ideology. So, educating ideology to the masses will broad base their organizations, but only slowly. But this short term agenda will give them only short term results. But the organizations which were started with novel vision, they are not realizing this fact and therefore they are failing among the masses. One Mr. Murugesan of ADMK, he became chairman for a brief time and his period was marked by ushering in of a new era of students union within Manonmaniam Sundarnar University campus. At that time, Professor Dr. Sabapati Mohan of DMK party, he was a sympathizer of the DMK party and the union leader was of JDMK. They were in loggerheads often and they tried to produce a harmonious situation in the university. Subsequently, Razia, a student of MA History, she became the union chairman and one strike was conducted during her period. But subsequently, a difference that crept between a student of psychology and Tamil literature student, it caused a severe damage in the fabric of the students' union, and the students' union started falling down and its principles have started dwindling. So, these are my observations and experiences pertaining to the Students' Union, and I think that a reformation of Students' Union is very important. India is a very large democracy, and we need unity, and we have technology these days spoiling the fabric of unity of this nation, and the union activities which are properly guided will definitely have the seeds to lead this country into a glorious future. Unity is very important. Students should have their own common social and political agenda for the future, and therefore, union activities like students' parliament and union elections should be conducted in every institution, and they should bring their problems on their own to the management. They should be given adequate representation insofar voicing their problems are concerned within the district administration as well. They should be made responsible citizens. The principles of union that stands above caste, religion and other barriers will definitely impact the students and will positively contribute for the development of the society. So, with such views, I conclude my lecture on Students' Union. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.